Okay, so here we are with a little scene and some camera movements, and we're gonna go ahead and pop a camera on in with just a standard camera is fine. And let's go ahead and name that camera our main cam. All right, and let's take a look. We've got a couple of options. I've got this link up for the film study stuff. But let's go ahead and do, say, let's start with this one's all the way down here. We're gonna go from a a long shot to a medium a medium shot to a close up. Okay. Um, so we might start with the long shot like so. We get in here and we set up our camera. We kind of build in, and you usually want to have the camera tools up so that you know that you have, here's your film settings and resolution gate. So I want to be able to see what I'm actually getting to look at. You know, with the way I set this up, I might have to go with a medium shot, so we can kind of close in a little bit. And you can use either your standard Alt and middle mouse, drag and zoom and turn with the left, right, left, middle, and right mouse buttons. But you can also go to your you can actually control the camera settings with some camera functions. I recommend just using the mouse because you can kind of just place it and such. Where is it? Animation, camera sequencer. Camera tools. Here they are, underneath view and camera tools. So you can actually use these as well, which gets you a little more precision potentially. If you do like a camera roll, you can like tilt, right? We'll talk about that in a second. And to go back on cameras and forth with camera shots, let's say you move the camera, you can't Z undo that. You're like, oh no, I've done it already, it's too late. And so you can see that instead it just got rid of my resolution gate. We don't want that. So to undo camera actions that you've accidentally done, use the brackets up next to the P key. Bracket. You can bracket back and forth, and that actually controls camera motions previous to next. And of course, we've got things like we've got the tumble, which will. This is just your standard. This is literally just the alt tumble. So if I have just that, this is just the alt. And left mouse and the track and the dolly are all your middle mouse and your right mouse. Right. So this one's just the middle mouse function or right mouse function. See? So that's all, those first three. But then you got, say, the zoom tool, which is not a camera motion, it's a zoom function, right? Oops, I just undid again. I'm so used to that. So you might not want to mess with those just yet. Let's see, where's my main cam? Right, and then you got focal lengths and all sorts of other aspects that are going to be more for your render process, where it'll actually focus in and zoom out and get fuzzies and do all sorts of, like the lens squeeze ratio. You can see that it's doing these adjustments, which you might not want to mess with. It's just changing sort of like where the camera lens is actually affecting. Focal length is set to 35, but you can see if I push it, I start to like kind of bend. See how it's now getting stretched. You're changing that focal length out from its sort of standard 35 sort of millimeter camera to getting these. You can get like a fisheye lens, and so shutter angle 144. Yeah, we're not going to see an effect of that unless we render. So these are all kind of like functions of a standard camera that affect both the rendering and sort of the animation. And you might want to at some point mess with focal length to kind of adjust sort of the perspective shapes, but let's just sort of settle on these standard move tools and such, right? So this azimuth elevation tool is kind of cool. Yaw pitch. But let's just take a look at how we set up these camera shots. So let's go with say a medium shot. So I have my camera here, and I'll go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and key it in so that I have a set position. And instead of setting it on some sort of track, I'm just going to hand motion it, which works just fine too, because you can kind of get it to move where you need it to at whenever time, and control the curves just like anything else. So if I'm watching this, maybe I see my block stand in here, and we'll go to 2448 and keep in mind, to avoid when you're setting up the camera shot, you want to ensure that you have all your angles set up. So when it gets here, for example, I wouldn't want to necessarily line up the object or the person exactly in line with some kind of edge of a building or something. You want to have them consider where things are moving and how things are moving. Now, if we were doing a medium shot, we might keep it here, and then we might clip the camera here, and then maybe the next shot we can take, and I like to actually select and hit F so I can kind of rotate appropriately. Oops. And get a different angle now. Or maybe we're on this side watching the character come up. I know it's floating. I'll settle it. Go back and settle it. And then hit a key here. And so what I want to get is this immediately swap, 180 swap, which is a pretty common setup. Let me go ahead and drop this character down a little. Right. And I'm going to key that translate again. Right. Oh, I didn't want to key the whole thing, sorry. I just want to key the Y. So right click, key selected, so that they stay there. And then bam, we get like another shot. Now, what we might want, we might not want to just do random shots like this. I mean, it almost would be better if we get, say, a shot where the character's walking, right? And you see that, and then when we jump to here, let's go ahead and push this in a little closer. Now when we take a jump over here, let's rotate that camera a little more like this. And we'll go in for a medium shot. We'll consider the other one a long shot. We'll go in for a medium shot. So I get to frame the edge of this here with our camera. And we still see there's I'm still using compositional rules here. You want compositional rules for your shots. So we've got a 1/3, 1/3, 1/3, right? And I've got the building taking 1/3. And I want this character. I need to go to my other camera to really lay this out a little better. So I'm going to go in here, take a look at this figure. It's still floating. I don't like that. So let's go ahead and go back to frame 1. It's sitting there. Oh, it's because I moved it. Okay, let's go ahead and adjust. Delete this key. Oops, sorry, wrong key. Delete this key. And let's push them up against the wall like they're walking along a sidewalk. And let's have them go out to here. Walking along. Still not floating, that's good. And let's delete this key here. Right, so now we got our character kind of moving around appropriately. So, Go back to that main cam. We don't see them yet. Let's hit play and see what happens. It's a little too fast. Let's extend that out a little bit. So we get a shot. All right, so now what I've got, let's say this is my long shot right here, and you can see our character. And again, I've simplified this. This is just, imagine this is just a blocking technique I'm trying to use here. So if I'm sitting here and we're in the streets or the back alleys of some town, and this character is just sort of like tracking something or walking through, and it's more of a casual walk. It's not like anything like a rush or a run scene. It's just sort of like, I imagine the character is, I'm pretending that they're a detective on a case and they're exploring a back alley where something happened. There was like a murder, but they're kind of following maybe a set of clues, or there's like maybe a little blood trail on the ground or something. I'm just kind of making it up, but I want that kind of approach so we get this nice sort of mysterious sort of shot to shot. And I will even go so far, now that I've thought of that, to put a little something back here, right? And maybe let's put I know that this won't look like a trash can because it looks like the same as the person thing, right? I'm going to size this up a little bit. Well, you know what? Let's make it like a little dumpster then, right? Just kind of blocking out what I got in here real quick, like... and let's go to our perspective camera so I can kind of quickly model this. I'm going to grab these top pieces and I'm just going to do a real quick little block out. Right, and grab this top. Just do a little extrusion action with it. Alright, we'll say this is our dumpster, right? Let's put that around the corner. Stop. Right. Put this around the corner here. That's one of those vertices. Right, okay. Maybe I make a lid for it later. And then we've got a little splotch over here. What was that splotch at? There it is. Right, I'm just going to go ahead and grab this a little bit, some vertices, saw select, and pull it so it has a little bit of depth to it. Right, and let's go ahead and real quick make another little shiny blend or something. Blend. Blend 2 can be blood. And other blend can be dumpster shader. We should call this blood shader. Oops, real quick here. Just gonna make it red. And dumpster shader can be like a green. Right. Alright, so now we got our little mystery scene, as it were, right? And let's duplicate this, make it smaller. So now we're ready to go back to our main camera and maybe get a few more little shots in to kind of build this scene. So we're starting here, and we could have the character actually walk up and pause here. Let's give him a moment, pause. I might have to extend out some of these. Alright. And then we can grab our main cam and extend it out too. Right. So, character goes here, and let's readjust the camera shots a bit. I'm going to go ahead and keyframe here, and then the next one I'll give more of a shot down, kind of like an over shoulder shot, where they're like, oh, what's this then? Oopsie. Did I get the main camera? So, yeah. Alright. So, and then let's give that maybe a little more room. Alright, so this is sort of a nice over-the-shoulder shot. Right, and let's see how that looks. And then as they walk off like this, we can do a little camera click again. And the next shot can be watching them go down the way here, right? And maybe, you know, if they had a head, they'd maybe be looking around. We'd see them as they walk away. This is sort of a walk away shot. And then let's see where they get to, right? I think I need to move that a little bit further. But I'll adjust that in a moment. Let's extend a little bit. Now, something else that could work here too, just because we got this camera shot, and let's go ahead and reverse camera shot it over here. Kind of a medium top-down shot. And let's give that a little hold on there. So all these shots are sort of like shot to shot, right? Comes up, sees the blood, gives us a moment in the staging to see it. We'd probably have the character just looking down and being like, right? And then we get another shot. So this is sort of our establishing shot, as it were, which is, you know, we see those through here as well. There's establishing shots that are going to give us sort of what's happening, and then we see that the next shot is an over the shoulder to kind of indicate to the audience what's happening. And notice that there's some nice little cutoffs here from some of these things. Another fun shot as this character walks away could be, instead of just a standard walk away shot, and notice that I take the character past the edge of the building. But you could do, like, it's starting to get a little mysterious, a little creepy. You could involve a Dutch tilt, which, there we go. Right here's some Dutch tilt. And that Dutch tilt will do the roll. And so we can kind of take it and go, well, right? Like, so maybe by the end of this clip, we get a little bit of a Dutch tilt action where it slowly turns, right? Because that kind of adds this, uh-oh, gotta pin it down, it's getting a little wild. We don't need everything going crazy. We just want to rotate. Let's see what's doing that up, down. That up, down is coming from our rotate on the I think that is strongly on the rotate X, I think. Right, yeah, that's the X. So let's pin down that. I don't like that. I just want to rotate the camera a little bit. So let's try, I don't want it going up. Rotate Z. Let's just do a hard cut and another linear tangent cut and another linear tangent. Let's see what that gives us. There we go. That's what I want. I don't want the curvatures. So this kind of gives us like almost like a Dutch tilt. It's a little too much. I think it should just be a Dutch tilt, not a build to it in this case. But it kind of gives like a creepy sense of and this one swirls at the end, so I have to change it at the end there. It might be better off just to give it a little tilt at the beginning, right? Just have the next shot be this one here, right? And then we just cut from this one to this, which is, you know, that's fine too. That's I actually like still shots. I don't really like moving the camera too much with my shots. The simpler the better. But you can move the camera shots. Sometimes it works well. But you're almost better off just kind of being like, okay, so we get a little Dutch tilt action. I mean, we kind of have it here. We're looking over the shoulder. And then the Dutch tilt here is going down, but now things are starting to get a little like there's been a murder. So you're adding a sense of sort of tension, as it were, in this case. The tilt of the camera is not flat. It's not straight on. There's a lot of talk about, if you ever watch the Red Letter Media reviews of Star Wars episodes 1, 2, and 3. So like George Lucas is a big fan of technology and visual graphics and 3D stuff, but he's really a boring writer because he's kind of like, it's really obviously just like sort of soap opera like drama, and he doesn't really write dialogue for like at all very well. Like the dialogue is terrible, you know, in the 1, 2, and 3 episodes of Star Wars, you know, with dumb things being said by people. Sorry, George. And so you get a lot of like shot, reverse shot, shot, reverse shot, where it's just literally back and forth, back and forth, back and forth between the two characters. This one's talking, then back to this one talking, then back to this one talking. And that's a very boring way, a very flat, straight-on shot of things. That's super boring to watch. And so what you're better off doing, yes, sand. I don't like sand, right? It's a very boring way. Well, we can take a look at them a little bit, but it's a very boring way to shoot something. So doing something like this, where we have a long shot and we see what's happening, it establishes it, and then we get a shot that basically indicates blood. And actually, you'll see that some directors overuse these as well. These are like directing shots; they direct your attention. Um, in say Army of the Dead by what's his face? Who did Army of the Dead on Netflix? He also did anyway, he did a way too many like directing shots where it would be, here's a person, and did you see they picked up this thing? Oh, did you see they have that thing in their hand now? And it's like, we get it, they picked up a thing, but you don't have to always show every single thing that someone's doing. I think there was also a review of a more recent movie that came out, where they did that constantly. Oh, it was Black Widow, the Black Widow movie. In the new Black Widow, they did it all the time. Like Black Widow and the other characters were constantly picking things up that you had to see them pick up and put in things, and it's like, we get it. We get it. You don't have to show that the characters are always picking things up, but in this case, we're showing that the character is having an interaction with something. The blood on the ground, they notice it. So we're seeing that they are seeing it, which makes it a little more interesting than just we see the blood. Like if it just shot in and showed us the blood, now you can do that, but don't overuse it, right? Because then it's like, we get it, there's blood. But it's more interesting to see how someone else reacts. Like maybe they're looking and they have like a grimace on their face. So you're getting more information from the scene about the characters in the scene. Like, I don't need to see the blood. Oh my gosh, I'm shocked there's blood. Well, I kind of already probably know that there's some murder or something happening because I'm watching a murder mystery. I already know that. I want to see how the characters are going to deal with the situation. That's what's the point of watching a story, right? So you see the character moves on, and then at that point, like from these shots, we get a Dutch angle, a Dutch tilt, which will give us a little bit of tension. It's a little awkward feeling, so it unnerves, maybe, potentially. Your brain kind of goes, oh, and as you see this character kind of go down an alley, you're like, what are they going to find in the alley, And then we get a nice little reverse shot, potentially, where we see the dumpster and the end of the alley, and they've come to it, right? And I think I need to move that a little bit further. Let's push this character out a little bit more, like they come here. And then it would probably be okay to potentially do like let's get the camera back up, and let's say we're going to do a close-up. I know I don't have like a close-up here because there's no face on this model, right? But it would probably be nice to have, see how fast they're moving. Right, shot. And we give them a few moments to do whatever it is they're doing. What do we got here? 101. Let's give them a second. 120. 125, probably. Let's get this out some more. Right? Because we'd be sitting there kind of. Maybe this point they kind of look down, and then maybe we also get a nice little zoom in on their face, right? If they had a face. And you could do a straight on shot for like a facial zoom in where you would see the reaction. No, camera, thank you. Right? And maybe they're like, And then something that we're kind of still hiding, the fact that there's maybe blood or something. But now we could give them, like maybe there's some emotion or something expresses here where they say something like, damn. Or something, right? 26. Let's give them another second. at 126, so set it up for 126 plus 24 for a second. 2 seconds maybe? Yeah, let's give him 2 seconds. Here's the thing is I'm blocking out at this point, and this is a really good way to know how much time your scene's going to take by adjusting all of these moments. And then when I put in my actual character to animate, I at least have a time frame. And again, that goes back to that pose to pose to pose, but at the moment I just have my poses, the time I'm working with the poses, which may need some adjustment, right? So that I can make sure that if I have too much reaction or I have little reaction, I mean, I want time to work the reaction, so I'm kind of generally working with that. So if we go at 126 and add, let's say 48, that might be too much. 2 seconds. I think that's good enough. It sometimes times becomes this weird thing. So let's give it 2 seconds, right? And then our next shot is here to here. And what we'll do at this point is we'll give a nice low shot, which, by the way, is another one that you can see over in our... give me a second. Where is it? The Dutch tilt. Then we got establishing. That's what we already did. A handheld shot. Nah. A low angle shot here, right? So low, we're gonna. Well, that's a looking up. Where is it? The it's not called a low angle. Low angle is when we're down looking up at something to give them like power. Over the shoulder, we just did a pan. That's always pretty cool. Pan shots are fun. I want the. I'm trying to remember. It's like a leg shot. I think I believe they called it the it was like a gunslinger shot, so it shows like the person with they're ready to like draw. It gives you like the lower half. This is a cowboy shot way up in their face, but like there's a low shot where we can take it and let's do main camera, and the low shot here, we'll angle it a little bit like this so we can kind of still see that we're kind of looking down the way, right? But now we see like all that blood. And let's do this. And at this point, we hold for... You would even maybe move the character just right off screen here, because at this point it'd be kind of a separate little shot. But you could take the character, just, it doesn't matter, reset the character and have him like step into shot, essentially. So let's give it 175, and let's give it a second. I think a second's always pretty good. You don't want to make people wait too long. So 199, and let's take our cylinder template and let's have them you would basically be like, okay, this is the shot, this is the cylinder, let's call this person stand in poly, right? And let's go ahead and give them a freeze, so they're just holding this whole time from 100 to 175 because of different things happening. I mean, we'd animate their face expression and stuff, but then at 175, once we have this cut, we have them step in probably at 199. Let's go ahead and move them in. Let's get that other perspective camera in here. I would like them to actually come in like this. And maybe even, their foot would avoid the blood. That'd probably be the appropriate way to do that. As they step into the shot, I kind of just want their lower half. So I would love to see their feet in there. And let's go ahead and looks. And maybe I move that main camera a little bit. Something like this. So when they step into the frame and they're about to lift up the lid and find like a horribly mutilated body is the idea, right? They're finding the one of the murder scenes, right? And I mean, I'm just spitballing, honestly, but I'm doing it because I feel like I can get a lot of different nice little camera shots for examples here, right? So this is a little gruesome and grim, but and I like murder mysteries, and there's another reason. 260, extend that out even further. So now at this point, what we have is if we go back to this original shot, we've got our establishing shot, right? We've got we've got our over the shoulder shot to give a little more interest here. Like we also get to experience what they're experiencing as if we're with them. You know, maybe we're along for the ride with Detective Cylinder here, and then there's a nice little stop that. Drives me nuts when I do that. Okay. Does not play. Does the spacebar not play anymore? Okay, so there we go. And they walk off scene. We get a nice little walk down the alleyway. And in fact, what I'd probably want to do at this point is maybe include another tall building to squeeze that in. Like it'd probably feel nice to have a tighter alleyway. Fill it in with some trash cans or something, right? And kind of build up the scene a little bit more. There's trash. There's some stuff, a pallet, some wires and stuff. And then kind of make it a little more claustrophobic to help build out this tilt here, to give it a little more unease and claustrophobia, and then we get this shot here where we establish that the I'm actually not happy. I would like to see them step around the corner at this point. So let's take that cylinder and push it back here. Have them come around the corner. Right. And I don't want them moving still at this point. And the camera shifts. I want them in frame here already. So I'm going to do a little bit of... Uh-oh. Sorry, that was the camera. I moved accidentally. Let's do person poly. Take these two and jump them up one. I don't want to move him. So let's pin that down one more time. And I guess it could slightly move into frame. Maybe slightly. Move into frame to give it some motion. So maybe I do give it a little bit of tweak for motion. Go back to our perspective camera. Push this character back just a touch, so that when we enter, there's a little bit of motion. I want them to come to a stop pretty quickly in there. something like that. Let's see how that goes. So again, I'm pinning down all of my pin positions, right? So main camera, they come in to frame. Right, there we go. That's good. Where they kind of, we get this shot. It might be too quick of a shot. I might cut that shot coming around the corner. But I like that they kind of push into frame, and you can imagine the person moving into frame as they kind of turn their head at the same time as they come into frame, and then they pause, and you get a pause on their expression here, right? And then we get a cut to, oh, I don't like the camera moving. Let's pin that camera down. Camera tools, you're not helping me. Get out of the way. Let's go ahead and pin that camera down here to here. Right? And then they step, they lift the lid, right? And then we would finally have, after, well, I don't know, let's see. Maybe 2.5 seconds. Right, so 24 times 2.5 is 60 more frames. So we're at 199. So we'll just say 200, and let's just give it 260. Right, so we'll give it 260, and we'll extend it out to 300, and we'll say 260 is our camera position. Let's extend this out to 300, right? And so now we can do a camera jump once more. And we would be up and above, or maybe close in. Over the shoulder again, or it could maybe be a close up on the dumpster as the body is revealed. Since I don't have much going on, I'll do this, and we can see more blood and stuff that would be dripping or whatever, hanging, or there's blood signs. And we could just pop the camera up here for yet another over the shoulder shot. Right, so now at this point, what do we got? We got establishing, looking, movement, Dutch tilt, sees it, there's blood, steps in. That blood is a reveal for us, the audience. We know that there's blood, but we don't know there's that much blood. And then when we see their face, we get to see how they're reacting before we get to see what they're reacting to, which then they lift up the lid of the dumpster. We still don't really get to see what they're looking at. And then, boom, we get to see what they're looking at again for a double reveal. And it's basically leading us down the rabbit hole of what's going on in this little murder mystery. And there you go. That would be maybe cut the scene. That'd be scene at that point. Maybe not. But let's say for now. And then maybe the next shot is like there's a bunch of cops now, and you see that like maybe that the cops have like, you know, they got forensics in there, and like the detective's talking to someone or something. He's like, yeah, this and that, or we saw the thing. You know, maybe it would cut. You don't have to see every single moment. It'd be one of those sort of like, oh, there's the body, and it's all mangled up, and then like, you know, we go to the next scene, and the detective's talking about, well, I found something on them, or they look like this, or whatever, right? But like maybe that could be the scene. So, there you go. And there's like a camera setup. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording for the moment because we've done this now. This has been 43 minutes of me recording a camera structure. But what you want to do is you want to make use of the camera as the eye of the audience to help tell your story. And you want to make sure that you can lay it out, you can set up all this timing, and you can go in and then you can fill in the gaps with your actual animation work. But now we have a structure, we have a scaffolding, we've started building something, and we know where things are going to be and where things are going so that we can set up our characters to interact within the boundaries that we've already kind of predetermined. And that's sort of how you would like to go about setting up your camera work so that you can create some kind of visual interest. Your staging comes in at that point. All of your composition can be built into it. You can make adjustments to this as you go, but you now have a grand design that you can build into. Yeah? So hopefully that is helpful in helping maybe better understand how we could utilize camera positioning and setups. And note, I did not use a single track for the camera. I simply used shots to build up sort of the scene and the suspense and what's happening. Yeah.